Hey everyone, Dan here. We're about an hour after market close on Tuesday, June 29th. Today we're going to take a look at SHAK. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also feel free to leave a comment below. This ticker was suggested by a commenter. I put down all of the suggestions and I get to them as I can. Alright, so Shake Shack here had a green day today. Just a little bit over its previous close, so nothing to write home about, but green is green. It's a relatively lower volume stock, only trades under 1 million on average and well under that today for whatever reason. But it does have an interesting spread here, 52-week high at 138, so still, quite a bit to go, and all the way down to 47 at one point, of course during recovery days, I'm sure because of the restaurant situation. But Shake Shack is delicious and I'm happy to cover it. So let's take a look at the 6-month time frame here, just because I don't think on this channel I have ever covered Shake Shack, so probably is helpful to give it a good look and sort of like get our bearings in terms of like overall context, like what it's done in the last 6 months, and plot out some courses. So we'll go through and we'll plot out some price points that we could look at for potential dip buys, potential price targets to the upside if you're looking to set a target and sell out at a certain high price point. We'll plot some of those things just so that you have some idea of where it's most likely that there will be high buying and selling pressure that will act as support and resistance for the stock in real time. Sorry, I have a little frog in my throat. But these price targets to the upside here, if you're not familiar with how I get these, I look at areas of previous resistance followed by previous support or vice versa, but areas that previously acted as strong support and resistance, and those tend to continue to be very strong zones as the stock proceeds in its life cycle. There's a lot of repetition in stock, so it's always interesting to look left, which means look back in time and see what happened. That gives you really strong indications of where the stock price is likely to be going. In terms of where it is today at like this 105, 106 area, I would expect like pretty immediate support at this 101.61. I'll put that in as sort of like a cautionary zone, like, hey, be careful if it can't hold this, because I think it should. And then, potential stop loss-ish type thing down here at 96.81, if that's like in your ballpark, if that's something that you're looking to do. Otherwise, you could look for that as a lower price target potential dip buy, on a big sell-off like we saw here, which wasn't that long ago. It was just in May, with Shake Shack. To the upper side, its first best thing to do in order to get into a bullish cadence or continue on its bullish cadence would be to first get support at 108.82 and then start a pretty decent push actually to 114. There's not a ton of resistance that I would expect to see in between 108 and 114, but that could be a nice little run for folks that are looking. And then up above that too, the 119 to 126 definitely has some, gives you some breathing room if you want to say, okay, here should be a pretty good stretch without a ton of resistance. So that's what I would look for on the price targets side of things. If we want to take a look at shorter term situation we have going on here, we have a channel here, and if you're not familiar with the channel, my favorite thing to play is channels. Is that true? Is it my favorite thing? Probably. I think it's the most predictable until it breaks. So let me start there. One thing to keep in mind is all channels eventually break. No matter how long it stays in the channel, at some point that channel will break. So just remember that there will come a day when that stock price will leap through the top of the channel, like you saw here, and it will just grow the distance between itself and the channel, and it will not return. On, I guess, the more bearish side of that, the stock price could fall through the bottom of the channel and just consolidate itself away and or plummet down toward Earth and never to return to the channel again. So that's just a reality with all channels. Eventually they'll break, but some channels we've seen hold years, many months, and so they can be quite lengthy. This one has been in this channel since about mid-May. We see it's tested the bottom 3 times so far, which is really great, and then tested the top also about 3 times. So these are really good indications of a formed channel that now can relatively reliably be played. So the way that I look to play these is I wait for the price to come back toward the bottom of the channel, take my dip buy at the bottom of the channel if it's showing price strength or when it shows its reversal, like here. And then I ride that price action to the top of the channel, and as it nears the top of the channel, I take my profit, and then I wait for it to come back down toward the bottom of the channel, and I dip buy it if it looks like it's going to bounce, and then I ride it back up to the top. So this is something you can do over and over and over and over again until the channel breaks, because eventually it will. Okay, and then the other thing that I would take a look at here is the indicators. So the RSI sitting relatively high right now. You know, it did have that pretty substantial run up. I think that was, they announced that they're going to be doing business in China. Is that what it was? Shake Shack shares trading higher. Yeah, so bumped up 10% on Thursday. Announced plans to open new locations in China. Could also be gaining amid restaurant reopenings. Okay. Most likely, if they just announced news that they were going to be opening locations in China, or new locations in China, probably that. Sure, maybe assisted by reopenings, but I would say probably the news, the China thing. But anyway, so it had that big run up, and now the natural thing to occur is for it to take a breath, reestablish, figure out, okay, where's the floor here? How much of an overreaction was that big run up? And then sort of like settle itself into a place. Now, what I would be looking for it to do is, you know, it had this big stretch out of the channel, consolidate itself along the midline of the channel a little bit. Or ideally what I would prefer not to see is for it to come down and pretty quickly hit the bottom of this channel, say under 100. I think would be really unappealing for the sort of price strength potential of the stock. What I'd rather see it do is sort of like consolidate along here, and after that consolidation, maybe a secondary dip that, you know, comes down and hits the bottom of that channel. But you could see a relatively lengthy consolidation period here as it tries to determine its next path that it's going to take, whether it be bullish or bearish, based on, you know, this big gain and sort of like the market trying to figure out what's the right price for this right now. But could see some additional selling pressure coming in with the RSI riding that high. The other alternative is, if you've seen my videos before, there is a play that you can make where RSI goes into overbought, comes down, and if it starts to reverse course about midway through the RSI, so at about 50, if it starts to pick up again, then you could play a run back through RSI overbought for the second run up. You see this happen a lot with stocks. You see it right here. It came into overboughts, came down to, you know, toward the midline, 55, and then came up for a second run at the overbought, and then it sold off further below the midline. So then it wouldn't meet that criteria. But that's what I would look for on the RSI side of things. And on the MACD, you know, slightly bearish crossover at the moment. I sort of call this like the kissing pattern, where they actually come down and just kind of like ride with each other for a little bit, and then they choose a direction to go. But you see it commonly kind of does this, where it's just sort of like a hiccup in the direction that it's moving anyway. This is actually a pretty clean crossover, as is this. So this could be like just a falling off of a continuation of, the stock kind of moving up in a bullish pattern. So that could also be the case, that it's going to kind of like come to kiss here and then make another run up. That said, if you look at these 3 most recent waves, it is really high still on the MACD, and it's sort of topped out in this same zone 3 times now. So it could be pulling back a bit, you know, again, as a buyer without a current position. So if I were to get a position, it would be because I'd be buying a new one, so I'd want a deal. I would be looking for it to come down anyway. into a buy zone. But for bulls or people who are looking to take profits, this could potentially be an opportunity. Or you could see if it does make a secondary run up over in that RSI example that I gave a moment ago, or if it can stretch higher on the MACD and make a higher high. That would be certainly interesting. Something to look for, something to consider. All right, well, good luck if you're in this one or if you take a position. I wish you the best. I hope your trading week is going pretty well. What is today? Tuesday. Okay, so hope it's going pretty well. We have hump day tomorrow, and then we are into the close of the trading week. So no matter what you're trading, I hope that it's been a good one. And equally as much, I hope to see you in the next video.